Hello and welcome back to another edition of the building of Gilpac Wen. Since I last spoke to you, I have filled in the track between the sleepers here with a foam board and also across here. This is in preparation for putting a top coat on, by the way. It isn't a final layer. I've been using foam board, which is brilliant stuff for buildings and the like, and doing what I'm doing here. But it's no good for external work, but it's very, very good for internal work. And as you can see, I filled in the track work quite tight. It doesn't have to be very neat because the covering I should be putting on it will be sealing it all in. You may notice on the back here I put a raised section. This is about 50 millimeters high. The idea is to break the flat baseboard, and you basically got two steps down like that. What I've done is I've taken some of this foam board, I've cut out some, well, they're not squares, they're rectangles really, and diagonally drawn a line across diagonally from corner to corner, and I've cut those with a sharp craft knife like so. It's not particularly accurate, and it doesn't have to be, because it's like a foundation, if you like, or profile for the landscape. Now this mesh that you see on the back here, which I've stuck to these profiles, if I come around to the end of the baseboard, you can see that what I mean. You can see all the profiles going off down there, forming an embankment. I've covered it with this stuff. Now this I've used for years and years and years and years, and it's called Mob Mesh. Now this is an old pack, and I'll show you the wrapping from which it comes, or which goes around it. It's an aluminium wire modelling mesh, and you can see the illustration on there, what it's used for. I use it for landscapes, and I have done, as I said earlier, for many, many years. I've written about it, I've done videos for Warner's on it, on the landscape model making, and I'm going to use it on my 16mm now, along with the foam that you see here, which I should be using along here to form the slate galleries, really, where the slate was pulled off the mountain, like as in Dinorwic and Penrhyn, really. But Penrhyn, they went down, and Dinorwic cut the mounting out. Anyway, what I do is I cut these, as I said a minute ago, I cut these formers or profiles, and they are stuck to a board here. Now this is 50 millimeters, and it's stuck all the way along. I use hot melt glue for that, and it is very rigid, very rigid, as you can see. And there's my hot melt glue gun. But this one's a Bosch one. I've had that for quite a few years, and it's done me good service. What I do is I put a bead of hot melt glue along there, and I sit this foundation, if you like, on top of that. But before I do that, I stick these profiles onto the upright like so, where you can see them in there, where I've stuck them to the uprights. That's before I stick it to the baseboard. Once they're stuck on there, then I stick this whole unit to the baseboard edge, and it does make quite a nice neat finish. And once that's all set up and cooled, I then cut my mob mesh, and I can cut it with scissors very, very easily, and it doesn't cut your hands. It's because it's aluminium, it's very, very soft on the hands. It's easy to bend, as you can see from there, and it's also easy to stretch. So what I do is I put a bead of hot melt glue along probably 12 to 14 inches at a time, or 300 millimeters at a time, or 30 centimeters, depending on your won't. I push it down into the hot melt glue, and I use an offcut of, this is a piece of MDF, and I just push it into the glue like so. And it goes off very quickly. Being aluminium, it'll take the heat out of the glue very quickly and set up. And then I peel it back. I run hot melt glue down the profiles, like so. Then I pull the mesh over the top of those. And then again, you see, while it's still setting up, I just run that over and into the glue and push this mesh into the glue. So it sticks it rather well. And when I've finished and gone all the way along doing that, I then pull it over tight. And there's always an overlap, something about, I usually have about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch overlap. And then I pull it down tight, push it down with my thumb so it's nice and tight. Then I run a bead along the top of hot melt glue along here. And again, using this piece of old MDF, or stuff, a kit, I think, into the glue. And that will then hold it in place. Then I come along with a craft knife and I trim off the excess, so you have a nice neat finish, like so. Once I've finished that, I will then go back, and I'll come back on the next video and show you what I'm going to do here. Since you were last here, also, I've created, I did show it in the video, the last video that I've done in stills, I created this lift out section here. The idea is so that I can get at the bolts for connecting the boards up. And that will just drop in place, and it'll be held in place with short pieces of rail which will go through these chairs, which will line up with the wagon. Now you see this piece here. Well, this is where and I did get my knickers in a twist on this particular one. I looked at the evidence in photographs and thought that the lever that was on the side of the actual track in real life was a lever that locked the turntable. Well, it wasn't. I subsequently decided and checked. It was basically a remote Scotch block, really. What it did, you pull the lever and the pin went across and held the wheels tight against the docking bay. So when they pushed the slate wagons on, the transporter wagon didn't run away. Right, that's probably covered all that I've done to date. Next thing is to put a finish to it all, so a basic finish before I actually paint it and detail it. Okay, I'll speak to you again soon.